Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining our breakout session today. My name is Mark Gibbs, and I am the Senior Director of Product Management here at SnapLogic. And I have the pleasure of co-presenting today with Hema Rangaswamy, who is an enterprise architect from Illumina. We will go ahead and address questions as they come up, or actually, as you have questions, can you type them in the Q&A box, and then we will answer them at the back end of the presentation. And any of those that we are unable to get to within the time we have allotted, then we will answer them after the call. So as enterprises continue their automation journey, it's becoming increasingly important that you have a modern platform that is up to the task. You can see what is driving the modernization of, and that many integration platforms today that are still being used are from a previous generation. And they're certainly not built for the demands of today's enterprise. So over the next 25-30 minutes, I'm going to take you through key technical tips to look out for when you're modernizing your enterprise. And then Hema will take us through how Illumina is utilizing SnapLogic to be able to automate many of their business processes. Companies from all different industries, whether they're large or small, are facing challenges in modernizing their technology environments, and to be able to keep pace with the business needs as they adapt to market and industry changes. And I think Jack Welch, who is the former chairman and CEO of General Electric, put it best. He says, if the rate of change on the outside exceeds the rate of change on the inside, then the end is near. We don't need to look any further than the Fortune 500 companies from the year 2000, and over 50% of them no longer exist. So if we can't move, or if we can't shift quickly enough against the external factors, then we become irrelevant very quickly. Hopefully you guys attended Michael's session earlier today, so this is probably somewhat of a repeat. But one of the continued market dynamics that we see is the adoption of the cloud. And as a part of enterprises' digital transformation strategies, companies want to improve their agility and to be able to provide faster business results. And the way that they're doing that is by increasingly turning to the cloud. And as part of this journey, we also see them adopting best-of-breed applications to improve their business agility. But the consequences of this, as I'm sure you're all well aware, is although that moving to the cloud and deploying best-of-breed SaaS-based application improves your agility, your ability to execute more quickly as well, but it also creates this proliferation of applications. So earlier this year, Vance and Bourne did a study, and they surveyed 500 IT decision makers across the US and Europe. And what they found was that the average enterprise has over 115 different applications and data sources within their environment. And this number is continuing to grow daily. And many of these applications are disconnected, which creates the data silos. And more cloud applications and systems are added to be able to support the business, while older technologies that no longer meet the business needs, this creates even more disruption within the business processes. So this in turn creates a lot of pain, friction, and delays for the business. Many organizations are still running legacy technology to be able to integrate their on-premise applications and data. And there are a number of pains that this technology creates. So first and foremost, it's too IT-centric, and it requires a lot of technical resources and money to be able to maintain this technology. And that really brings little, or you could even argue no value to the business itself. With this much needed continuous upkeep, it actually slows our time to value for everybody involved. Technical resources are poured in just to maintain this technology, just to keep it up and running when they could be doing more higher value tasks. And due to the technical nature of the platform, it's really only IT that can get the best out of it. But we all know that IT budgets are strained at best. So the application proliferation that we spoke about leads to an ever increasing demand on IT to be able to perform these integrations. And this ultimately slows down the process of keeping the business stakeholders waiting, and business projects are delayed, and ultimately you cannot meet the business goals and objectives. So it's critical that we move away from a legacy IT-centric tools to to be able to modernize your infrastructure to allow the business to be able to keep up with the rate of change. So we'll see, you may be asking yourself, well, why do I need to modernize now? So we'll see there's 3 compelling reasons here as to why we feel that you need to modernize now and not wait. First and foremost, you need to be able to increase your agility and flexibility to be able to respond to disruptions and competition. We need to look no further than the pandemic that we find ourselves in. This has been a massive disruption for many different enterprises. And it has forced the hand of many organizations to be able to adopt more digital services overnight, which has created lots of challenge for integration to be able to integrate these data sources into the business process. We need to be able to improve our business and operational efficiencies and reduce our costs. The rapid pace of change forces us to be able to keep up with market and competition in order to be able to make those timely business decisions. Otherwise, we risk becoming irrelevant. And the legacy technology that we have holds us back, and it does not provide us the flexibility to be able to automate the enterprise. And then we also need to create value for your business and your customers. By putting the right data and having the right data available at the right time allows us to make more informed decisions and create higher value for the business. So let's take a look at the critical capabilities you should be looking at when you're looking to modernize your enterprise. So in order to adapt and move more quickly, we need to be able to give the business stakeholders access to the data in order to make the right business decision. So this means not only within an IT domain with an IT-centric tool, but also empowering the line of business to be able to perform their own integrations. After all, a lot of the domain knowledge for these specific SaaS-based application does reside in the line of business. So you need to be able to also connect your legacy system as well as cloud-based applications. While we are seeing the acceleration of cloud adoption, many enterprise systems still exist behind the firewall. So Gartner states that the mix between on-premise and cloud-based applications will reach 50-50 by the year 2023. So you need a truly hybrid architecture to be able to process the data where it resides and avoid the slowness of moving the data to the cloud just to process it. So you want to be able to have a truly SaaS-based model that also removes the need for continual upkeep and frees those technical resources up to be able to perform higher valuable tasks. As you continue to adopt new systems, you need to be able to integrate those systems with existing business processes that are also in place so that we make sure that they are seamless, they are automated, and there's no disruption. So hopefully you heard our keynote speaker. So Gaurav Dhillon, who is our CEO, was also the co-founder of Informatica. And Informatica happens to be one of the oldest names in enterprise technology. And when he went on to build SnapLogic, the mission there was to reinvent data integration for the modern enterprise because this aging technology just doesn't move fast enough to be able to keep up with the speed of today's business. And with any aging enterprise technology, integration development becomes a really slow and tedious process. So SnapLogic, we help you achieve faster results for IT and line of business users, can improve your productivity and reduce your total cost of ownership. And there's 3 primary feature functions or technical capabilities that you need to be able to modernize your enterprise. So you need a low-code, no-code integration platform. It needs to be performant, it needs to be agile, and it needs to be easy to use. So we have a visual drag and drop interface that allows you to get up and running in no time at all, and even be able to, but powerful enough to be able to build the most sophisticated integrations without having to write a single line of code. Yet this interface is simple enough and intuitive enough for line of business to be able to build out their own integrations. You also need a hybrid platform. Okay, you need to be able to support not only those cloud-based SaaS applications, but also our on-premise systems that still exist. So you need a truly hybrid environment. And this allows us to support, or gives us that flexibility to be able to support different integration patterns. So whether that's cloud to cloud behind the firewall, or whether that's cloud to cloud in the cloud, or whether that's a combination of those. And all of this needs to leverage the power of artificial intelligence. And we do this to be able to further automate the business process. And at the heart of our approach to integration here is what we call Iris, which is our integration assistant. And the purpose of Iris is to greatly simplify building integrations, making it faster and more efficient, and to be able to automate those highly repetitive, low-level development tasks. So you probably heard Gaurav this morning. So our vision for the fully automated enterprise, Iris is front and center of that. And you can imagine our goal for Iris, and you'll hear more about this in Greg Benson's talk later on, is to be able to be simple enough, yet powerful enough to use as something like Amazon Alexa. So you can imagine coming in and saying, hey, Iris, automate my enterprise. And Iris will go out, it will discover the enterprise systems, it will automate the business processes and operationalize those on your behalf. But until we reach that goal, we have a number of capabilities. We've added the flexibility for users to be able to start anywhere when building their pipelines and finish anywhere. And what Iris will do will recommend the next snaps or the previous snaps, making it much easier to build out those automations. We can also recommend entire pipelines. You just need to provide Iris with hints, and Iris will provide recommended complete pipelines on your behalf. Iris is always on, and interestingly enough, the vast majority of our users actually use Iris to build out their integrations. So before I turn it over to Hema, I just want to recap. We've seen how enterprises are increasing their adoption of cloud-based resources, and they're doing this to enable them to keep up with today's business demands and, quite frankly, stay relevant. The average enterprise has over 115 different applications and data sources that they need to contend with, and this number is growing every day. But we have legacy technology, and this is holding us back. So forcing the enterprise to be able to pour those technical resources into maintaining the technology instead of having them do more higher value tasks. So we need to modernize a platform, and simply just to allow you to keep up with today's pace of change, be able to perform the necessary integrations and to provide the business with timely results. In SnapLogic, we offer you a modern cloud-native solution that helps you modernize your enterprise with 3 key features. So 1, providing you with a low-code, no-code visual design paradigm that makes it easy for all users to be able to develop their own integrations. We also provide you with a hybrid architecture to be able to support existing on-premise applications as well as cloud-based SaaS applications. And at the heart of everything that we do, it utilizes the artificial intelligence to be able to help automate the business process. So I'm going to turn it over now to Hema from Illumina, and she's going to walk us through how they've chosen SnapLogic and how they use SnapLogic to automate various business processes across their enterprise and provide us with some details of the implementation.
Hey, Matt, thank you for the introduction. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining today's session. I'm Hema Rangaswamy. I work as an enterprise architect at Illumina. Illumina is a global leader in genomics and sequencing. So I will be walking you through our brief journey with SnapLogic at Illumina here, and a little bit of background of how we came about choosing SnapLogic as our enterprise middleware. Okay. So before we chose SnapLogic as our middleware, we had a couple of challenges with the existing middleware that we were working with. The biggest one was that many of the applications and the business applications that we were exchanging data with were moving to the cloud. And we needed to have a cloud presence, and we needed to have cloud endpoints. That was the biggest challenge that we were facing. And for each of these, as you're all well aware, to host an endpoint without a cloud presence, we had to position our web servers in the DMC, go through network, cybersecurity checks. So it was not a one-day activity, and it slowed the whole process of application integration a whole lot. And in addition, we also having just the middleware on premise meant that if we needed to exchange data between a cloud to cloud system, like from a HRMS like Workday or Salesforce, we had to bring that data on premise and apply all of that transformation, what we needed, and send it back up, which was quite a round trip. The other aspect that we were facing was that we really wanted to onboard sort of self-service development in the citizen developer concept. We wanted some of these citizen developers, and what I mean by that terminology is users who are sitting close to the business and understand the business logic more. We wanted them to help us collaborate on the platform. And that was a key requirement that we wanted. High availability with the older middleware platform that we had was something we had to put in block by block and piece by piece at different tiers. So the web server tier, the load balancer tier, the web servers itself, and then the actual middleware tier itself. And the whole concept of dividing the load, etc., was just something which we had to program itself. So that was consuming a lot of our time as developers. Yeah, and instead of providing value to the business, we were focusing more on these lower tier of that infrastructure itself. We had a very reliable platform, but the handshake, what we had to lose in that with that reliability was the fact that there were certain performance bottlenecks. And when we were supporting real-time and point-to-point integrations, this became a real bottleneck for us. So we wanted something that was reliable as well as able to give us perform at that speed. So these were kind of four areas I like to call 4 pillars that we were looking for in an iPaaS, integration platform as a service. Low code platform, just back to the same things that Mark touched upon. We didn't want to write one whole lines and lines of code to be able to just make a single REST call, for example. Our time to value was very important. Some of these integrations are simple, like you would say, a REST service, go get data. So we wanted to be able to bring business value very quickly and not have a whole software development lifecycle around that. And also, what was the technical debt that we built along the way? We wanted that to be very low technical debt. Citizen integrator, like I had spoken previously, we wanted to enable a collaborative platform. We wanted data scientists and data engineers to be able to get onto the platform. But at the same time, we didn't want to compromise our governance as well. So we didn't want to give them admin level privileges, but we wanted to collaborate along with them. And also we believe in what's called endpoint transformation. We wanted to push some of the core business logic closer to those endpoints and have encouraged these citizen developers to own that transformation so that the core team could focus more on providing this platform as a service and the patterns, etc. The other important pillar was the integration patterns itself. If we just look back, around 3 or 4 years of our journey, you would notice that we did have some cloud presence of some applications. We did have on-premise, and we have a number of these patterns. We have data that's flowing from on-premise to cloud, cloud to on-premise, sometimes just cloud to cloud, on-premise to on-premise itself, and also very hybrid scenarios where we might have an event, a business event that originates in the cloud, but you have a business process that kicks off in the cloud, as well as an event that same event would kick off another process on premise itself. So all of these complex scenarios, and the most important thing that was important was the code being able to execute in that same environment just at the click of a button. So if I'd made a decision that I want an integration on-prem, I wanted to be able to move that to the cloud just at the click of a button. So that was a key requirement when we considered an iPaaS. Wanted the whole high availability, load balancing, in all the issues related to, upgrades and downtimes. We wanted that to be part of the core infrastructure and be a managed service. We did not want to spend our precious resources on all of these activities, which is the requirement of any application today. So how did SnapLogic fit in all of these in these pillars? So obviously a very service-oriented architecture. That's what SnapLogic offers you. A totally a very low-code platform, and I don't know if you've taken a look at how the IDE looks. We're able to just set up a REST endpoint quickly with just configuration. So it quickly was able to satisfy that requirement. Integration patterns. This was a true win for us. And the beauty about this whole the integration patterns itself was the existence, the ability to choose between a cloudplex and a groundplex. And the way I look at it is the gravity of those applications, right? Those business applications, if you will. If you can see, it's slowly shrinking on premise, and most of it is moving to the cloud, which means I could slowly shrink my SnapLogic infrastructure and make it scale it out on the cloud. So that's a flexibility that I could do without tons of re-architecture. And it supports all of those business patterns that I just talked about. And the beauty was cybersecurity was very happy about it. No holes poked in the firewall, and seamless integration between the cloud and the on-premise plexes itself. Repeatability, DevOps, your standard CI/CDs, automated builds. The fact that you have a service-oriented architecture enables you to automate a lot of your testing. So you're very agile to change. You're able to automate your testing, move your code up in smaller sets with testing in place. Citizen integrator concept, again, we still do that. We have onboarded a number of citizen integrators, and they own some of the transformations, etc., which are totally business logic, has a lot of business logic in them. And we have set up tons of patterns where we have the core team that's focusing on canonicals and schema definitions, and the endpoint transformation is kind of owned by the citizen integrators themselves. High availability is taken care of by the platform. Load balancing is also taken care of by the platform. You have the concept of ultra processes on the SnapLogic platform, which enables us, which are business processes which cannot have any downtime at all. Most of the companies, nowadays we have global presence, global consumers and customers, so there's no downtime that we can take, and that's kind of where Ultra fits in. The flexible upgrade windows go a long way for us. It allows us to work with our business to figure out, when can we do these upgrades, quarter end, month end, your financial flows, etc. So you work with the business, kind of figure that out. So that's a great feature. Monitoring, traceability, extremely important. But the most important point over here for us was that we were able to use APIs to pull the monitoring information that we were receiving from SnapLogic out into a centralized area where we put in the monitoring that were coming from all the other business applications to build out a business activity monitoring, so we could actually see all the processes across the organization. So we've spent around 4 years on SnapLogic so far. We've built a bunch of patterns. So if you look at, and I will share my architecture diagram here in a minute, all our integrations span different business process areas: hire to retire, campaign to cash, make to deliver, procure to pay. So we have, I'd like to say, roughly around 175 plus integrations that are running on the platform. You name it, we have patterns for it. We've used queuing to implement store and forward, the common pub sub, error queues and automated retries, aggregators, canonical models. We also have point-to-point integrations, scheduled jobs, real time. So pretty much most of the patterns we have been able to use this platform to create. Okay, here's a quick architecture view. I know it's not really very visible here, but I tried to convey the best what we could. If you look at it, we are supporting a lot of our employee experience, our finance, our quality and manufacturing. And you can imagine the amount of data that's going back and forth through SnapLogic on these. sort of process areas here. Mark, do you want to take it from here?
Yeah, sure. So if you guys have any questions, we have some in the chat box we'll answer here in just a sec. But please type them in the Q&A question. Sahima, I see there's a few questions here. So the first one is, what would you say the #1 tip is on what to avoid when modernizing the enterprise?
It's difficult to kind of answer that. It is not going to be a generic answer. My suggestion is planning, planning, planning. The more time you spend with the platform, you're going to learn a lot more. And obviously, iterate, plan in waves. Start with your least risky so that you're learning and improvising as you go along the way. SnapLogic has been great to partner with. In case you don't see a feature, I find that I'm able to reach out to the product teams and prioritize what I need. So I would say iterate, plan.
Yeah, I think that's very good advice, right? I think really understanding the capabilities of what you're trying to do and how that matches up with the platform, I think are key, for sure. We have another one here. How many vendors did you evaluate before settling on SnapLogic?
So we're almost 4 years live into the platform, but honestly, it's been 5 years since we engaged. So we were looking, like I said, the true hybrid cloud bred, single click, I'm able to choose which Plex. So there were not a whole lot of players in the market. There are different IDs for cloud, different ones for ground, on-premise. So we just evaluated one other vendor before settling in on SnapLogic.
Right on. So I have another question here. I think this is to you, Hema. What messaging systems are you using for PubSub?
Today we're using RabbitMQ. We are also considering a number of others. Honestly, it's a service world out there. So, you know, SQS, Kafka, name it, you're able to use, but we are actively using RabbitMQ.
Okay, we probably have time for one more question, and then we have 2 more minutes, and then we need to wrap up. And I just wanted, there's a couple of summary slides I just want to draw your attention to. The last one I see here, what was your #1 learning from modernizing your enterprise?
Learning, planning was the main thing. Plan and improvise. The great thing about the all these cloud and iPaaS, right, is that you can, even if you make mistakes, you can learn along the way and you can fix it. For example, right, if you didn't plan on the sizing, right, it's easy to fix those sort of things with this sort of a platform, and especially with cloud technologies, that's a very easy thing to fix. So it's mostly about the planning and familiarize yourself with the platform.
Right on, right on. Okay, we have just last minute. There's just a couple of things I would like to add. Can we bring the presentation back up? So the previous one, there's a couple of. It's being temperamental. One more, there we go. So just a couple of resources I want to draw your attention to before we end the call here. Please, we encourage you to join the SnapLogic community. So here's the URL here. So this is where we basically join your peers, and a number of SnapLogic people will answer any technical questions you have there. We also post product updates, things of that nature. So it's a good way to keep informed and also share use cases with your peers. We have a number of events coming up. You can see them listed here. There's a training workshop that you can sign up for. We also do what we call happy hours, where we will present certain technologies and new features that are up and coming. And so you can see all that from snaplogic.com/events. And then also, if you're a prospect and you want to try out SnapLogic, we offer a free trial. So you can see the URL here. So snaplogic.com/free trial. And you can go ahead and sign up for that. And then we would love to hear from you guys and get feedback. So please fill out our survey, and we value your feedback and would love to hear from you. So thank you very much for attending, and we will talk to you guys soon.